Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, so let's get back to Iraq. Hopefully all the goodwill is still out there and we're moving forward and looking good. Advisor to Al-Sudani, the Iraqi-American agreement is the beginning of stability of the dollar. That's what we hope. So Saleh, the advisor to the Prime Minister Al-Sudani for Financial and Economic Affairs, saw the agreement of the Central Bank of Iraq and the representatives of the U.S. Federal Bank regarding strengthening the balances of the Iraqi banks in dollars and increasing their numbers, and strengthening other local banks with balances from an international basket of currencies, a step towards stability of the dollar exchange rate in the country. That's what we want to hear. Saleh said in a press statement, the Iraqi monetary authorities maintain foreign currency reserves, which are the highest in Iraq's financial history, indicating that Iraq has the highest foreign currency reserves and high commercial efficiency. Today, the reserve currencies are sufficient for Iraqi trade for a period of 15 months, while the global standard is 3 months. He explained external financing for the private sector takes place through the compliance platform, which required conditions that lasted for a year from last October to this November, and thus the banks adopted on the basis of global compliance with use of foreign currencies for the purpose of trade and not for other purposes caused problems for the state. He noted that the agreement between Iraq and the United States indicates the presence of high flexibility in financing the private sector by strengthening a number of dollar-denominated banks, which have adopted themselves to global compliance and will finance Iraq from major global commercial centers. See, I don't like all this globalness, this being tied into one another, because when one thing goes bad for one country, it spreads to all the other countries. Saleh pointed out that more than 85% of the demand for foreign currency is done through the external platforms managed by the Central Bank of Iraq by enhancing the balances of the foreign banks, while the parallel market constitutes only 15% of the speculators market, stressing that the agreement constitutes the beginning of the price stability for the exchange market. Sweet. An Iraqi government source previously revealed an Iraqi-American agreement aimed at strengthening the balance of 10 Iraqi banks in dollars. He also revealed an increase in the number of Iraqi banks whose balances in Chinese yuan would be enhanced through the Singapore development banks, and 13 banks, while the number of banks that have strengthening their accounts in Indian rupees with the Development Bank of Singapore. And other banks will be added within the next couple of weeks. So they already had a lot of reserves, we know that, and the purpose of holding on to these reserves is to protect your local currency. So it looks like they have more than enough, and not only do they have more than enough, but they are now stocking their banks up with other countries' currencies, which is known as a currency swap. So the Minister of Finance directs the completion of the technical aspects. The Tax System Reform Committee discusses the draft value-added tax law and a new homeland. The transition in the tax pattern limits evasion and achieves more tax justice. These are people trying to avoid paying tax, according to this. So the Tax System Reform Committee discussed during a meeting chaired by the Minister of Finance yesterday the study of the draft value-added tax law, the requirements and expectation of the application, and what was reached in the work of the tax administration in the field of electronic connections and the electronic billing project in the framework of completion and requirements for application of value-added tax. At the end of the meeting, directions were given to the committee to complete the studies related to the technical aspects of tax and present them to the committee in accordance with the observation of the members of the committee and the actual data, and present them at the next meeting before the end of the month, provided that the members of the committee will complete the study of the draft law in preparation for completing the meeting within the time frame specified for the plan to reform the Syrian tax system. In a statement, the Director General of the Tax and Fees Authority explained that the meeting comes within the course of the project of reforming the Syrian tax system, which the ministry is working on the transition towards two basic taxes: the unified income tax and the value-added taxes that targets the uses of income to be resolved instead of the consumer spending fee, which is in line with the increased reliance on information technology in the context of billing system and electronic connection, which allows the tax administration to benefit from features of the electronic billing system increased tax application on the unified income that will collect all income from the taxpayer of various source in one tax pot. That's very interesting, and I can see us going in that direction here soon. Noting that the transition in the tax pattern contributes to simplifying and clearing the tax and reducing tax evasion, as well as achieving more tax justice and helping to disclose tax airports. And that what was discussed in the meeting is completion of the studies worked by the Ministry of Finance in the scope of the application and value-added taxes for tax registration, exempts in all its forms, in addition to starting to audit the draft legislation instrument, the law, and completing the observation of the members of the committee, provided that there will be another meeting of the committee before the end of the month to present the completion of the prepared studies and discuss the observations submitted by the committee. So not only are they reforming their banking system, but it looks like they're reforming their tax system as well. Yeah, nice. Keep it up, Iraq. Keep going. So all of a sudden, all these moves and all these reforming and all these new systems and all this training is starting to make sense, don't you think? We've been hearing about the banks getting trained for a long time. We've been hearing about reforms. We've been hearing about all kinds of different reforms. But now you see why. They're getting ready to finally be freed, hopefully get their sovereignty back, and be allowed to trade and do business on the international level. This is going to make a world of difference with the Iraqi people as well as their currency. Anyways, that's it for now. Let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you. I am out.